Cancellation, cancellation, cancellation. Why must Jump go through these cancellations? Is it due to a lack of popularity? Or is it because the story just wasn't that interesting? Hey guys, what's up? Lucky Cheese 7 is here today to give you guys another Manga Wars episode. It's been actually quite a while since we've actually done one of these. Maybe when I upload them, it's going to be like, it hasn't been that long. But for us, it's certainly been a long time. Or at least on my end, to say the least. And I know what some of you guys are probably going to be wondering. Have I didn't give on myself? No! Because why would I do that, discussing about a series, or a topic of series, when I could just be doing that with a buddy, with a friend? So, I brought with me some special friends and special guests. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
It is I, Sparda3g, once again, but not in a Black Clover podcast. No, it's a Manga Wars. Yeah, it has been a while, actually. I don't remember the last time, but now we're doing another one. This time with canceled series. It's not the first time, but should be interesting to talk about this. But before we discuss, another guest is here as well.
Hello everyone, BlueStarSaber here, ready to join Lucky G in another Manga Wars podcast after when everything in the UK has gone chaotic. But hey, you'll probably find by either the December the 12th or 13th, you see me either jumping for joy or sulking, let's see, like America did in 2016. Let's see, but yes, I'm here to join Lucky Chi and Sparda3g here once again for another Manga Wars podcast. And for the third time, we'll be discussing a cancelled series.
He's also the cursed child. Let's not forget about that.
Hey, you cannot blame me for me for these two series being cancelled. I didn't even know they existed at the time.
That's why it got canceled.
So, wait. So, let me get this straight. I can't read a manga series, otherwise it goes awful. But if I don't know about a manga series, it gets cancelled. Is that what you're saying for life?
Pretty much. Don't you remember what they say in One Piece? It's not about you getting shots, getting killed off, or getting dismembered. It's all about the fact that if you're forgotten, that's true death. So that's what you did. You forgot about these series' existence. So I
didn't even know they existed. So let me get this straight. I have to know about the series, but I'm not allowed to read them.
Yeah, that way it'd be like, hey, I'm suffering because I heard these series are awesome, but I gotta suffer for the cause of the humanity.
Okay, then for life, I just have to make sure I remain ignorant of every manga series you're going to read. Then that you want to read.
I'm just saying.
So anyway, Lucky Chi, will you be telling our viewers what's the manga series that we are talking about today?
Yes, given that it's a canceled series, you guys are probably wondering which particular series we're going to be covering. But first I got to go ahead and just explain the details for those of you that have listened in on us, but have been kind of needing a refresher course on how the canceled series aspect works in the Manga Wars favor. Typically, it goes, we're going to be doing a summary for both series, characters, main lead, main female lead, side characters, or in this case, secondary characters, premise, strengths and flaws, endings, and then the 3 questions. But at the same time, you're wondering, okay, what 2 series are we covering? Which, I'm about to announce right now. It is Red Sprite versus Demon's Plan. And saying that, let's just go right ahead and get straight into the summary. I will cover Red Sprite, while the Cursed Child handles Demon's Plan. So the summary for Red Sprite is, the technology has advanced due to the discovery of an alternative source of fuel called Thunder Cores. This is changed civilization for the better due to the creation of longer-lasting trains and cars and a new form of transportations called airships. The story follows Tatsu Frompt, a young boy who lives in an orphanage nowhere near the city who dreams that one day he will be the captain of his own airship and travel the world alongside his friends. He is told that he and his friends are being isolated from civilization due to a disease that makes iron grow in their bodies. However, the orphanage is attacked, and Tatsu is the sole survivor and learns the dark truth of his disease. 6 years later, he embarks on a journey to save his friends and kill those who stand in his way. And that is pretty much the summary of Red Sprite in a nutshell. So now I'm going to hand it over to the Cursed Child to go over Demon's Plan.
Okay, Demon's Plan. The story involves a young lad named Boss in his quest to rescue his friend Carlos, who's been infected by the demon, who is going on a war path to destroy villainy, and attempts to save him. As these are two best friends growing up, then one is cursed in attempts to try and get this Demon's Plan box thing that supposedly grants riches, only to find out that it was just being a rich snob, pretending to be the case. So enraged Carlos gets possessed by a demon thing and starts going all evil, and Boros, who also inherits a demon thing as well, attempts to come and rescue his best friend, end his sort of underling. During the quest, he encounters allies such as Savalia, and he's joined by Savala and that wind dude on his journey to rescue his friend, while encountering other demons who wish to try and kill him. As the whole premise, in order to reverse the effects of demons, you must either kill all other demons in this sort of Demon's Plan game, or wipe out all of humanity, which is why most people go for the former option. But for Boro, this will be a hard thing to do, as he does not wish to become a murderer. As we follow Boro for the little time we do get, can he keep his morals up? What will happen to his friend Carlos? And what about these other demon-possessed humans along the journey? There you go.
Okay, so I just looked up his name, and I'm not sure how to say it, but it's EUS.
Oh yeah, EU. Yeah. You are. I know. If I say EU, some people might think of the European Union. But anyway.
I want to say ES. ES is how you say it, but I could be wrong. So yeah, that's ultimately the summary for both the series. And now, we're going to dabble into compare and contrast the characters. Specifically, the main leads of Tatsu from Red Sprite and Orso from Demon's Plan. So, BlueStar, why don't you start us off with your thoughts on both these characters?
Okay, the main characters are, Tatus Framp for Red Sprite and Boro for Demon's Plan.
Now, Boro, my bad.
I think that's how it's pronounced, but now, Titus Framp is an orphan who, amongst 7 orphans, who is among the group going to be the captain of their airship one day in their search for this land of Magnolia, along with their their sort of like Iruka-like teacher, Durant, I believe. Just as they're making plans for their own specific airship, they are attacked by this sort of Nazi-like fascist dictatorship group, and their scientist who's come to collect them. As it turns out, they are orphans that are specially trained the Thunder Course abilities. In particular, our protagonist seems to be able to use red lightning, from what I can tell. Briefly remember. But anyway, all the other children are kidnapped except for Tatsu, who was rescued by Durant, who reveals the hidden past and how he helped them escape. But due to the result, he ends up dying of his injuries, not before at least healing, Tatsu, who for the next 6 years, has gone into training, waiting for the day to come back and rescue his friends. He breaks out one of his friends in the prison camp, along with all the other prisoners there, invites them to their airship, where he's declared captain of the ship, where he declares himself captain of the ship, and the airship itself as an entire nation against this fascist dictatorship that has controlled most of the world. Let's see, but yeah. Well, for the other manga, you have, Bo, who's, for the first chapter, has mostly been trying to work hard along with his friend Boros to get enough money to buy a Demon's Plan box from, like, this super rich dude, only to turn out that, he was framed for apparently stealing money. His friend tries to turn himself in just so that his friend can be safe. But when his friend learns that it's been a swindle, he unleashes an actual Demon's Plan box book thing, and becomes evil. While Boro tries to save his friend. And during the course of his journey, his morality has come to question him whether or not he can actually kill, other demons. Because he does not want to be a murderer. Now, as for which one of these two protagonists is better, it's really hard to say because you only really get to know them for like 12 chapters, and they're sort of in a similar premise of trying to find their friends and rescue them. Though, granted, with Tatsu, he has got more friends to rescue, while Boro is more of the Naruto Sasuke route of rescuing a best friend. In terms of, which one I might like better, I think I'd go with Boro. Partly because I think he's a bit more of a flawed character compared to, like, Tatsu, who's a bit OP, if you ask me. Granted, it seems like they kind of need to make him OP since they have an entire, nation that controls most of the world. But I think he's a bit... Then again, Tatsu does have, some quirks that are quite entertaining, such as his, quick demands of being captain, his inability to drink alcohol and all that stuff. But other than that, I don't know, he's just kind of your standard overpowered protagonist, while at least with Boro, he's also your kind of like your sort of dummy, somewhat slightly perverted, or at least attracted to chicks at least. Sort of like witty, bashful protagonist, though that will do anything to rescue his friends kind of thing. But I think what sells me mostly is that the first chapter, in which you kind of got to learn the history of like how he stood up for like Charlos, even though he originally sold him out, and then afterwards even though he still tried to protect him, and they were like friends ever since, kind of like brothers kind of thing, and they had this dream of getting enough money to make them like better, and then only for it all to be shattered when one was falsely accused, and then only to realize that the plan thing Demon's Box thing was a fake until the actual thing come in and corrupted his friend. And during the course of this, 12 chapters, you kind of see, Boro do whatever it tries to, in desperation, what it takes to try and rescue his friend. Let's see how he makes new friends, and also come into play with his morality about not trying to kill the other demons, even though, they're all trying to kill him. So, yeah, I think the first round I'd give to Demon's Plan because, well, I just think there's just a bit more to engage with Boro than Tatsu at the moment, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember these characters that much. Ever since they got canceled, and it's been, I think, a year now? A year, maybe 2 years? When these two series came out?
Maybe a couple of years. I think it was a couple of years ago.
Sorry, I would have been a bit quicker, but...
No, that's all right.
We're good.
That's fine. But, no, it's wow, it's 3 years ago. Huh. Time flew. This is kind of scary. It's actually 3 years ago, at least for Red Sprite. But Demon's Plan is barely 2 years ago.
Barely, yeah.
Barely. It's well, actually barely 3. Huh. This is weird. Well, when it first aired or released, excuse me. But
You're
yeah,
right,
it's been that long.
It was barely 3 years.
Yeah, it's crazy how time flew. Wow, it's a little scary actually. But anyway, yeah. It's been a while since I read them. I felt like I read them last year, but apparently I read it 2 years ago. I don't know how that's happening, but it happened, I guess. So yeah, Boro. The only thing I could reminisce to his character is the usual protagonist of a shonen series where they have a goal to save a best friend or save a brother. You know what the hell it is. Say pretty much the Naruto esque characteristic. Yes, I know the other series that does before Naruto, but that's how everybody will associate these days when it comes to like a character that goes anti-hero, they'll be like, "Oh, that's Sasuke. Oh, great, he's gonna turn to Sasuke. He's gonna do the Sasuke. He's gonna be the Sasuke of the series." You barely hear anything like he's gonna be the Vegeta of the series. I mean, Vegeta is pretty unique, especially when you look at the overall. It's different. Yeah, I know, change your plan, but you get the picture. So with Demon's Plan, it was straight up Naruto esque. Yes, it could have gone differently if it had a longer lasting like if have a longer lasting life into it, like more than 14 chapters or actually 12 chapters. 14, I think, is because they have the one shots. If you look at the Mao information, but anyway, Boro pretty much didn't get the much time to shine to show more characteristic, and it does takes time. But since we have to go with what we have here overall, despite being canceled, I guess you could say he's pretty basic. He's straightforward. There's nothing to it. I never really see any potential to say, man, he's gonna be a amazing character in the future. Not like how Hungry Joker, like there's a potential there, but I don't know why it got canceled. Part of me likes to think maybe the protagonist is a little dull, even though there's some potential to be seen. Like even Tabata thought he was a little dull, or at least not himself, but he saw the fans seeing him dull, so that's why he has to change it up to more exciting route. Hence, Asta. Demon's Plan protagonist, it seems very safe because of the Sasuke as archetype subplot. Finding my best friend, finding him, and he so happened to be the bad guy now, which ends up being the case. It would have been interesting if we just let him die in the first chapter and never again to return. But they have to do a plot twist and say, like, hey, he's a bad guy now. Happy. So, yeah. With Red Sprite, Tasu, yeah, he's pretty much like the isekai protagonist in the stereotype way, meaning he's broken, he's overpowered, he's godlike, he cannot be stopped. I guess you could say he'd be like what's his
Kirito?
name? Kirito. I was gonna try to go back to the shonen Melodus
You
from
could say
Seven
like
Deadly Sins.
Saitama without the infancy, without the funniness. I go on.
Right, without without that, and no pun intended, without the punchline of the series. I'm just saying that's the whole premise of One Punch Man is this punchline. But anyway, Tatsu is pretty much that. He's pretty damn powerful. The first chapter seems a little typical, but it would have been okay. And then within the exact same chapter, he went from zero to hero. It's crazy.
It's like
And
a
I was like,
magic
oh,
jump, too.
yeah. I mean, it's different, kinda, sort of, but
I
it
don't know.
would not be exciting.
I guess they
Hmm?
kind of rushed the whole 6 year time skip thing, really.
Yeah, a
But
lot of people thought that was a big mistake of the series. I thought it was probably among the mistake of the series. I mean, there's still other parts, but yeah, that one I didn't think it was a wise decision to do. It's just like, okay, he's really overpowered, all this stuff, all that stuff. It's not like we're learning the curves, we're learning the lore, we're learning his environments, his power, everything about it. So we just jump ahead, like, okay, he's very powerful. How this power works, you will learn more detail somehow, some way. So already it dismissed the lore build up. It just goes straight to the point. As is to say, this guy's already overpowered. You don't need to worry about anything else. Yeah, it harms the series flow. It harms the series enjoyment. It doesn't have any tension because of it. Yeah, he fought the final boss quickly. Well, there's more bosses, but the point is, it was one of the bosses that we have seen, and I think around chapter 4 or 5, I don't remember. So you either have Boro, who is going for a Naruto approach, which at least it has the offering of an underdog, or you have the Tatsu, the approach of a isekai protagonist or the melodist type of character. The only upside is he could be badass, and he does demonstrate a badassery moments. So there's the upside. Which what I would prefer, I guess, I don't know, like maybe Boro, just because it's more easier to attach, even though he didn't have that much time to give us a reason to care. So it's kind of like it's hard because again, these two series got canceled. They got canceled really early. I think both of them at the exact same time. I think Red Sprite got like 1 or 2 chapters in more, but other than that, it was really just the same length. I don't know. I guess I'll just get Boro just because I feel bad. That's all I got.
Well, it's actually kind of interesting because when it comes to both these characters, I'm actually kind of stuck on it myself. Like after I finished rereading both these series, I'm like, ooh, like if I had to pick now, kind of like going off from what Sparta said, Tatsu is kind of a badass. Let's not sugarcoat that. He is a badass, but overpowered could be another word to use. Like, okay, that does mean they had to do with the 6-year time skip because we didn't really get to see a whole ounce of training from his end of the spectrum, which I think could have worked. But we'll get to that when we hit the strengths and flaws section. But if I had to pick, I'm gonna like with Sparta and BlueStarSaber. I'm gonna go with Boro because of the whole underdog story aspect. Honestly, that's kind of just how I feel. I think the underdog story is something like you can kind of latch onto, and I think because Boro had that, even though his character arc is, at least from what we know, was kind of vanilla, I'd say it kind of works in that aspect. That's kind of it, at least on my end. It's kind of quick, but I mean, like I said, there's not much to go off from when it comes to both these particular series for both protagonists. Let's go ahead and jump into the main female lead. So, Luther.
Well, I'm not really sure Red Sprite really has a main female lead, really.
Granted,
I think
if you count Mono, that's the only one.
Let's see, Mona, is that the one that was so powerful that the
Wait, that's a female?
I thought that was a dude.
I thought it was a guy.
Was it a guy?
Yeah.
It was a guy.
Oh.
I'm gonna find out right now.
It looked like I don't know. I might be wrong.
Let's see. I don't know, but I didn't know.
What about that? I forgot her
Pilot
name.
Fall. That
Huh?
Pilot Fall, you mean?
I think that's her name.
But
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the pilot.
They're like older compared to the rest.
Yeah, she's older. The more how should I say it?
Okay, yeah, you're right. It's yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she's the more older, sort of sexy, sort of like female companion, I guess.
Sure, let's go with that.
I know. If you can find a better word, tell me. But hey, but yeah,
I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to remember what they do.
I know.
I'm just trying to remember.
I know. It's like the typical sexy kind of like female companion you get in certain shonen manga. She's currently, you don't really know much about her, other than that she was a prisoner here, but before that she was a pilot. Granted, she seems to be one of the more competent of like the rescued prisoners that Tatsu got. She ends up being the most loyal after when she's accepted Witsy not really having a choice premise of Tatsu being the captain and the airship being a nation. Ends up being, in some sense, you could say she's kind of like the second in command, really. So, but yeah. But unfortunately, the series is a bit cancelled too much before we get to know anything about her. So, besides maybe a few scenes of like piloting like the Red Sprite blimp or something, You don't really know much about her, but she's at least involved, I guess, with the plot a bit. But see, Demon's Plan, you have Salvia, but yeah. Now, when you first meet her, you get a bit of a bad impression because, like, she refuses to help anyone that doesn't give her quite a bit of money. She seems a bit cold, especially towards Burrow. Now, granted, she
Kind of
ends
got a tsundere feel to it.
Yeah, it's kind of a tsundere, though perhaps a bit nastier than most tsunderes at first. Remember when everyone had a bad impression of Sakura first time around? Nowhere near as witty bad as this, but hey. But she ends up following Boro when she can't quite figure out why, and sees him in danger and stuff. And when she learns a bit more, and once like Boro defends her and she learns more about the Demon's Plan stuff, we learn that she is actually in search for a brother who may or may not become a demon himself due to the Demon's Plan thing. And she clearly wants to help Boro, let's see, as best she can, mostly just to find the brother. Granted, due to this, the fact she's not really action oriented, nor does she have a Demon's Plan. She's avoided from the fight, so other than that, but I'd say I'd probably give the win to, let's see, Demon's Plan again for Savalia, just because you know her background, you know her goals, you know a little bit of her personality and stuff, compared to like Fall, who's just more of a side character really than a main female character.
But it feels that way, yes.
I skimmed quickly for both, and I feel like a winner, if you want to say winner, would be Demon's Plan, mainly because I feel that Red Sprite can be considered NA, not available, not applicable. Because I was like, huh, and she was only in second chapter. I think it was second or third. And after that, it's all like, hey, Army, you remember me? That's right. I'm gonna kick your ass. And that's really it.
That's kind of all she got, yeah.
Yeah, and everything became manhood, which is fine. But it is funny because we're trying to see like, hey, we had a better heroine. I'm like, one lasted for one chapter or two, or just in the backseat, while Demon's Plan, they were trying to establish her as a secondary main character. Since Carlos, I think that's his name, the best friend.
I guess you could kind of make it look
That's very English.
Like Rukia for the most part.
Yeah. But yeah, like I guess you could say they were trying to establish her to be the main character, to be another main character, which would have been fine. Instead of like, hey, bros, always focus together. But then again, Naruto did that, and look what happened. But I digress. So going back to the Demon's Plan versus Red Sprite, yeah, I guess Demon's Plan just because hey, she has a motivation and a subplot to find her brother. With the other one, I think she says she has a motive, but
it's so brief.
it's somewhere there. Well, I remember there was a young general. I don't remember. It was like I don't remember her name.
There's
like
one
a
character
young
that showed
girl
up later on towards the end, and she could have been the main female character.
You mean the Queen?
Yeah,
the Queen.
Small nation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we didn't have that much time to give. Yeah, we didn't have that much time to establish a heroine in the series. I mean, there is a heroine, but they didn't give it enough spotlight because again, the whole entire manga was just pretty much saying like, "Hey, remember me? I'm back, fool, and now I'm gonna kick your ass and save my best friend."
It's kind of funny when you go back to his first manga, which we'll get into that later.
Okay, so yeah, I guess you could say that just because it was NA for Red Sprite.
Yeah, it's honestly no contest for me. I'm gonna go with Demon's Plan because, like, with what again, echoing back with what Blue Star and Sparta have said. But that's also kind of going back to what I said earlier, where it's kind of interesting because if you guys have read Iron Knight, I know Sparta has, but for those of you who haven't read it, it's.
I'm sorry. Iron Knight. Was it the same creator from Red Sprite or was it Demon?
It was.
Yeah, Demon's Plan is still. I don't think it's the first work ever, but I don't remember seeing the other works of his or hers.
No,
Red Sprite, yeah,
Red,
you're right. It was Iron Knight. I remember that. I remember how Iron Knight has such a tendency to try to kill off the heroine with one shot and the official. I was like, man, this guy really hates that heroine, don't he? It was always the funniest part of the series. Yeah, it got canceled. It was not bad though. I mean, I guess I like we get to that soon, but yeah, I remember Iron Knight. I remember that one.
Fun little nice read. That was the best way I can put it.
Yeah. It's like for curiosity, you could read that. I mean, it was going to be like a Ziga. I think it's Ziga or Zeta. You remember that
I
one?
remember that.
Yeah, it was like it's going to be kaiju stuff in a sense, and it was going to be like apocalypto or that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine, I guess. Maybe it was. It was easy to read. I'll say that.
But yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just give it to Sally. Just kind of again, I feel like you understand her motive. You I mean, it's not much, but you do kind of understand why she's doing what she's doing. You get a little bit of an insight to her character. Had it gone longer, you would have probably gotten a lot more stuff. And because Red Sprite is kind of, you have one, but she's like, hey, remember me? It's like, okay, I guess that's all we're getting of her character. So, landslide on that account. So, Demon's Plan, dose victory. That's what I want to say. Oh, secondary characters.
As a curiosity, will the villains also be included into this one, or will they be separate?
They'll be included.
Oh, let's see. On Demon Sprite, you have the crew of the Red Sprite, kind of like blimp thing, or
Did
the
you say
Magoka
Demon
Nation. I think I said Red Sprite, though if I said Demon Sprite, I apologize.
That's funny. That guy.
Let's see, but anyway, but yeah. You have the crew, let's see, one of them really kind of reluctant to do, but then gets one over, though granted still annoyed by the captain. Granted, I don't remember his name. You have two of the other kidnapped children throughout the story. One is the orphan that was just so trackable with his like presence that he sort of blames himself for all that was wrong with that happened to his like sort of friends, family, or siblings, kind of thing. So you have that. The other is Alfred, who is probably Batman's butler before he becomes Batman's butler. He's the only one of the 6 children that was captured to escape, but ends up in a small nation that's not part of the India Empire, and on the risk of collapsing. The only thing keeping it safe right now is so far Alfred defending it. Let's see, so do you have that as another sort of side character thing, or current character? And for the villains for Red Sprite, you have a sort of like Indian Empire, which is sort of like a typical dictatorship, kind of like villain organization, where the sort of kind of cartoonish, over the top evil, which isn't necessarily a bad thing itself, though I think it goes a bit too over the top and probably should be more on around with the levels of what let's see, they did with Hydra during the first Captain America movie, kind of thing like that. And yeah, so I think it's for Demon's Plan. You have like the co-workers at the beginning and the boss for Boro, who gives them the money, ends up having a touching moment where they help him buy a boat to the city he needs to go, and the sort of heartwarming Bitsy goodbye. The other Bitsy characters of support I can think of is that Wind Dude again. Oh yeah, EO, let's see thing, but yeah. Let's see, I think he, of all the side characters, is the most interesting due to the fact that 50 years ago, due to his own mistakes, his entire village got killed when he was defying one of these demons, and the only thing he could do was save his sister, who ended up growing old and having a family herself. So we have that. asked to team up with Boro because he wants help defeating the guy who is targeting his sister and has ruined his life. Granted, he is one of the few demons that wishes to team up with Boro just because he actually agrees with Boro's morality. And on the villain's side, you have Charlos, who, during the first chapter, you learn all about his friendship with Boro. Let's see how they met. Let's see when he saved him from bullies, even though he saved from thugs, even though he sold out to them. Let's see his commitment to return the favor, only to be completely crushed when, he did all of that effort for nothing, only to turn into a demon and him vowing to destroy. In many ways, the typical your Sasuke's turned evil best friend rival kind of thing. And for the other characters, you have some demons. For one, this sort of one that collects and stores abilities, and another which he is in conflict with, who can regenerate and get multiple arms and stuff. But yeah. Anyways, I'd say if it was just the normal protagonist things, I would probably side characters on the protagonist side characters. I'd probably call it a tie, just mainly because both characters have some that I find quite entertaining, such as the crew of the Magnolia thing, Alfred and his desire to save a nation. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about the Queen and the General thing. A young girl and a general who sees Alfred as his son, who are desperately trying to get him to leave just because they know the nation is doomed. It's not until Tatsu saves them, and they were the first country to declare the airship as an official nation, starting more of the seeds of rebellion compared to what happened last time. But I'd probably give once again Demon's Plan the win, just because I find the villains at least a bit more engaging and interesting due to their abilities being a bit more unique compared to the bad guys in Elia, which all seem to be sort of lightning based kind of thing. And not to mention a bit over the top of their being a dictator as well. Ones from Demon's Plan look like they have potential to be engaging, or at least, even if they're still bad to be bad, they're at least interesting in that way. So yeah, I'd probably go with give it the win to Demon's Plan.
Are we talking about side characters right now?
Yeah.
Huh.
So, yeah.
I'm trying to remember what side characters there are in Demon's Plan. I don't even remember. I only remember what's that guy name. The guy was different color, pretty much. I want to be Sasuke Hase from Tokyo Ghoul Re.
Oh yeah, that guy. I know what you're talking about.
That's all I got. I don't remember any other side character, unless you want to count that mysterious guy with a hat.
It's more of a villain, but go on.
Yeah,
I would count him too. I would honestly just count him.
Maybe I would go give it Red Sprite for this one, because I do remember Red Sprite character, despite we didn't establish the heroing, as we said this before.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe we got character like Alfred, Mono. Mono does come by. I thought it was going to be a long-lasting thing, but it happens very first thing in the morning. But the problem is the series got canceled, so maybe they jump ahead to, hey, let's just save that kid and just say, hey, we got a lot of people to save, but we got canceled, so who cares? Yeah, I feel like I only remember Red Sprite from the top of my head, and looking at it right now, it's yeah, they're the only one to do work. At least Alfred did. I thought Alfred was not too bad, but I don't remember anyone else in Demon's Plan, because I remember it was a 2-man show, 1-man show actually. Red Sprite, I guess.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'll give it.
Well, I guess Red Sprite needs a win.
Well, I mean, the first two they win, but well, I guess I'm spoiling it by saying that. But
okay, anyway, Lucky Chi, you're the tiebreaker.
I'm the tiebreaker. Oh boy.
I honestly try to remember the side character for Demon's Plan. All I remember is that
the funny thing is that even though I reread both these series back to back, I don't think there's really anything that really stands out about the side characters from Demon Plan. That's a funny thing. Like I'm thinking about that right now. I'm like, oh yeah, you've got the guy with the hat, which I think is kind of cool. But when I was, I'm just like,
The guy in the hat's kind of like the Zetsu of the series in some ways, or maybe even the Toby.
I was thinking Toby, but if you want to say Zetsu, you can say Zetsu.
Okay, I know he teleports, right? Can he teleport, or am I just?
He's just confusing ghosts like that.
Okay, that's what he kind of reminds me of the Zetsu thing, but yeah, he's probably more Toby. Go on.
Yeah, outside of him, I don't really think there's anything that memorable about the Demon's Plan characters. Now, again, had the series gone on longer, we would have probably gotten interesting characters, but I kind of just there, At least with Red Sprite, at least I remember like certain quirks, like with Mono and his whole dynamic with Tatsu, and then also getting Tatsu's dynamic with Alfred. I thought that was also kind of really cool, and just seeing how that ties back into the past, and you see how their relationship was like beforehand, going into where it is now. It's like, huh, okay, like I actually got to feel something for the side characters, and I'm like, man, I mean, look, for a short run for being canceled, it was effective in a couple ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I think based on that, like even like if we're gonna bring the princess, the queen into account, even though she only showed up briefly at the end, I will say definitely Red Sprite. We cut to the next category, which is going to be premise. More so, the strengths and flaws of both these series.
Let's see. Well, for me,
I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you, Blue Star.
Let's see. Well, for me,
I honestly forgot the most of it, so I just refresh my
well,
memory.
let's see. Red Sprite's premise is pretty much you have a sort of orphan boy who's lost all his friends to a sort of fascist dictator kind of like state thing, who controls most of the world, and he's declaring their dream airship thing as an independent nation to an area they one day hope to find in the sky. Let's see. So the quest is to first rescue people who are enslaved, particularly that have those special electromagnetic, sprite abilities. Let's see, who are being forced to work till they die, kind of thing. So yeah, so you have a sort of like a protagonist where his quest is to find his 6 missing friends. Let's see, increase his airship's military and strength and stuff. Gather allies in attempt to defeat like the savant. Let's see, the Edian world. So in many ways, it's kind of like a classic sort of like Star Wars Rebel Alliance versus Empire kind of storyline, which I quite like. While for Demon's Plan, you have let's see, 2 best friends trying to get this sort of thing they thought could make wishes, only to find out it was a lie, and then to like, let's see, one of them to go down an evil path, while the other's trying to save the other one. Doing which we learn that, let's see, in order to cure someone of being a demon, they have to kill at least every other demon that's been given the power at the time. Or if, like, certain missions are made through a sort of phone call. From what I understand, at least, but yeah. Now, for which one's premise I think more is interesting? Well, I think, let's see, Demon's Plan has probably better executed its premise more than Red Sprite, who's a bit clunking mess. I think I'd probably go with the Red Sprite just because I do kind of like the rebels fighting an evil empire-like thing. So yeah, I'll give it to Red Sprite.
It's actually kind of funny because you kind of took what I was going to say. I think, honestly, if it comes to that, I would honestly pick Red Sprite, just, what it had to offer, essentially, because even though, I'm not going to say Demon's Plan didn't have anything to offer, but it was like it kind of like once you figure out what it is, like all right, so you've got this whole shtick where it's kind of the Naruto and Sasuke esque story,
Uh-huh.
which had it run its course, it could have worked, or it could have not worked. It's kind of like a double-edged sword, you know.
Uh-huh.
Whereas, yeah, Red Sprite, you could say it's a little more simplistic in that area, but it could have definitely helped it out a lot more. But like I said, I feel like it's the 6-year time skip is kind of where jump the shark, I guess you can say.
Kind of rushed the time skip when it puts maybe the whole backstory from when he was being, let's see, his friends being kidnapped should be in the entire first chapter, and then go into the 6-year time skip the next one.
Honestly, actually, we'll get more into this with the flaws, but that's I think if we're looking at it from the strength aspect, yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Red Sprite just because I feel like there's a lot more you could do there than I'd say Demon's Plan.
Well, in terms of premise, I guess I would say Red Sprite because I wouldn't say it would have been like a One Piece thing, but it has that One Piece esque feel. Like we're traveling on different places of the world. Where Demon's Plan, I guess it would could have gone that way, but it would have been more focused in just a big village. You said. But with this one, it would be like you got a blimp that's pretty much like a Final Fantasy esque style, where you have Sid taking command and you could talk to your group, or any RPG, in fact, like Mass Effect even done that.
It would have
So
been
it's
like
like
Eden Zero before Eden Zero became a thing.
right, exactly. Except for it's not gonna get canceled, to my knowledge, at least.
Nope.
But
Well,
point
Hero's
is,
too damn popular.
yeah. But the point is, it has a more compelling premise, despite not ever to have the advantage to flesh out, or maybe it just maybe the mangaka couldn't do it or doesn't know how to do it. But who knows? Because it got canceled shortly before 15 chapters, so it's anyone's guess. Demon's Plan is pretty much like, I guess this would be like a travel base, which would be fine, but with the blimp idea where you could have a lot of characters within one blimp. It's like, hey, we're gonna have a lot of different characters, a lot of different interactions. It sounds like a hell of a fun time. So I see like more potential with Red Sprite, despite that it got canceled. But yeah, I would choose Red Sprite for that.
Okay, what's next, Lucky Chi?
The next thing we got are strengths and flaws. And normally I would try to like say let's put them up into two, but I think it's fair to say that we can include both of them into the same topic. So, if I had to talk about the strengths of Red Sprite, it's kind of something I kind of iterated earlier. I feel like there's I feel like Red Sprite had a lot more opportunities in that, like, you know, you kind of got that travel sense feel, you know. I guess think of like One Piece, where you're going from place to place. Now I'm not saying Demon's Plan didn't have that, but I feel like it would have been more unique in that aspect.
Okay.
Because it would have been like, you know, you're stopping by places, maybe like getting some supplies or whatnot. Maybe you have some like little small moments with the characters. I think you could have like done that. And I think the cast I feel like the cast overall for Red Sprite left a better impression on me, opposed to the characters overall in Demon's Plan. Which I think if I had to bring Demon's Plan strength into account, I will say the whole what could have been the whole aspect of the demon. I think is something pretty interesting. At least to me, like I was like, all right, that's. I mean, you could say it does feel like it would have been overdone, but at the same time, it's like, huh, you got this whole mystery thing with the demons. What exactly is it that they want to do? And it's like, all right, that's interesting. But again, the downside to that is you've got the whole plot line where it's like, yeah, you get the sort of Naruto Sasuke esque thing where one's on the dark side, one's on the light, one has to try to save their best friend, despite all all connections, all every moment that took place. Okay, we didn't hit that with Demon's Plan, but it could have. It could have hit that. Even though I feel like if Demon's Plan actually ran its course, probably it might have done better. I guess flaws, and I think this is something I can say equally for both of them. You could say they played a little safe. Say, Demon's Plan a little bit more in the fact that okay, maybe their side characters are just not that memorable. Whereas with Red Sprite, what I could say is the 6-year time skip, I think, is something we should have built more up to as opposed to, boom, we're dropping in and it's like, yeah, we got the 6 years. Like, that's nice and all, but I would have rather we lead into that as opposed to like, oh, like, it's like we're at this moment. It's like you got.
I think the biggest problems with it is that you didn't really get the main protagonist didn't really get a mentor. I mean, you could have gone a mentor, but the Iruka-style teacher ended up dying.
Well, no, that's my thing though. It's like you had like this nice sort of sentimental moment with the teacher, and it's like, and now we jump 6 years. It's like, wait, what?
In many ways, perhaps the teacher dying should have been the end of the chapter.
Who knows?
Sorry, go on. But anyway,
who knows? But yeah, I think at this point in time right now, I think that's kind of my stance when it comes to the strengths and flaws for both the series. Again, I get the one common thing I think they both share is that they do kind of play it a little safe. I feel like maybe Red Sprite could have worked a little bit more on the villains, as well as the one other flaw I can give it, and then Demon's Plan just side characters in general can continue to work. But that's just my take. What about you guys?
I think one of the strengths for Red Sprite is the humor, is particularly with how many of the protagonists, many of the characters are acting, how the protagonist is a bit crazy or sometimes a bit ridiculous with his demands, and also when he ever tastes alcohol and stuff. I think that's one strength for it. I think one strength for like Demon's Plan is that even though you only really see it for one chapter, you can't understand the friendship that Boro and Carlos has and why they care for each other. I mean, you see why Boro wants to try and save him, why Carlos, despite turning evil, still wants Boro by his side. You see with like Red Sprite, you see the bond with like between each of the orphans once an orphan is shown in, either like such as that shy one's inability to get over the fact that he's so traceable for the enemy that all the others got captured, and while for like Demon's Plan, you have like touching moments where as Boris is off on his journey, the company he worked for said goodbye in their own sort of unique way of buying a ship for them. And then you also have like Ia with his like sister when Limpsey went to protect her. And pretended that he had no right to be his sister. I mean, his sister's brother, that he pretended he was dead or someone else, but the sister knew the entire time, which had a brief touching moment when that happened. And for Red Sprite, I'd say the fight choreography was pretty good with the way the art was drawn, particularly against that regenerative-like villain, particularly because with like how powerful he was. No, speaking of power, I'd say one of the biggest problems with, like I said, with Red Sprite is the fact that the protagonist is too OP, that he seems invincible and it doesn't look like anyone can beat him. Granted, for the final bad, they had this sort of like Burn Ash guy come in to try and kill him, and that was the only real challenge he had. Though granted, he kind of came out of nowhere. And I think Lucky Chi has already said this, but yeah, and I've probably said a little bit during the thing, but yeah, I do feel like the whole 6-year thing could have worked better if that was either the epilogue where he's just arrived to rescue the prisoners, or you just had that as the beginning of like the next chapter and all that stuff, next few chapters and stuff, since I feel like in order to have a sort of a strong impact, you could have had Tatsu escaped with like the Dalton thing, but he dies. Possibly then having some sort of guy teaching Tatsu how to fight and stuff. So yeah, there's that. And another problem is that the villains, while they're clearly, like I said, based on like let's see, dictators and all that, and other fascist states throughout history, they're kind of too cartoonish villainous to my liking. I'm not saying they need to be complex, but again, I guess something more distinct needs to happen with them. So yeah, and the demon's plan, I guess the whole demon thing in itself isn't all that. Let's see, how you become a demon isn't all that interesting, except that killed or be killed and all that stuff. Though granted, one thing I did find interesting. I'm sorry, what?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And no, I think one thing that could have been interesting for Demon's Plan if it wasn't cancelled is like the internal politics of like the strongest demons who now Carlos is a part of. But yeah, that's all I can really say about the strengths and flaws of both series.
No, I really don't want to echo that much, but I guess it's similar to everything that has been said already. I mean, if we go by breaking down, we pretty much give you the idea what's the pros and cons from there. I guess the only thing you can talk about is the fighting part. They're fine. Both of them are fine. I think I was more appeal, even though the fact that there's no real tension because this guy was OP from Red Sprite. I did like the choreograph still in terms of like, hey, at least has a meaty impact into them striking parts. Demon Planet has a similar effect in a way. Maybe because Demon Planet kind of feels like one of those modern series where they use digital art. I think the same thing for Red Sprite. I don't remember, but Red Sprite feels a little bit more traditional. Maybe it's just me, or I haven't really thoroughly looked at it. So I really don't know about that. But but for what they are in terms of action, they're both decent. They're both fine. I have not much to say because they both have the same premise in terms of like how to utilize the action. Both of them goes to the more dramatic effect, more explosive, flashy style.
Instead of the old classic Part 1 Naruto type of fighting.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, Naruto Part 1 was like more physical, personal, while Part 2 becomes a little bit more Dragon Ball esque.
Yeah, no, that's why I said Part 1.
Yeah, I know. But I guess that's how I remember for both of them. They both have their own pros and cons. It's hard to just try to like establish. I mean, it's not hard to establish, but it's kind of unfair due to the cancellations. We will never know how much potential these manga could have if they give them more time. Because it's like it's similar to like a lot of series that gets their second win or third win, depends. Kohi from My Hero Academia, Tabata from Black Clover. They have canceled series before, and then when they finally strike gold, it's like, hey, this guy could really draw. This guy could really write, whatever. But these two, it's a shame for Red Sprite with the fact that he has Iron Knight under his belt, and that was canceled as well. I don't remember if Red Sprite did none of the series in the weekly Shonen Jump. I could be wrong. Same thing for Demon's Mind because I didn't research much of the manga code for this one.
I think they were Shonen Jump, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I know like there's like some other manga code that tries too many times with Shonen Jump and decides to go to a different magazine altogether. There's some that actually had three tries and they struck out.
Iron Knight was Jump. I know that.
Yeah, it was. I know it got canceled by Weekly Shonen Jump and all that stuff. I'm just saying, like, have they done anything after this? I don't know. I don't recall. I didn't follow much. I just know when they did this series, they tried their best, but then it got canceled, and that'll be the end of it. Got really not much else besides echoing what everybody has been said. So they got their ups and downs. It's a little unfair because of cancellation, but it's the best we can do. Since we are judging them in their overall package.
So next is actually going to be talking about the endings of both these series, which is kind of interesting when you
look at it. In many ways, let's see, Red Sprite had sort of more of a proper sort of closest thing you had to a proper conclusion where, let's see, the queen of the little nation that's defending from like the big Ediana nation declares Mongolia as like the first officially as a nation itself and allies against, let's see, the Indian Empire thing, since it's also when the sort of Indian Empire really started to see that their broadcasts, let's see, are starting to come into effect, and now that this guy's really a threat and they need to take care of him and all that stuff. So in many ways you got that. Also, I think, let's see, with Red Sprite, you also got this like bonus little chapter which seems to show a bunch of children looking to the sky of Magnolian Blimp, and how it talks about the rumors about how it's captain and it's a country and stuff. So, and from the looks of it, some of the characters that were seen there from the beginning, at least like 4, are a bit older now. So it seems to imply, this time sticker seems to imply that someday these lot free the world and they're free to fly the sky as much as they want. Demon's plan, it's a similar situation to Bleach, where just as things are finally starting to happen, the series gets cancelled. Demon's plan is more open-ended, like Zombie Powder. You've got like a sort of what they're going to do next time. Like there's this sort of like big tournament going on between like the opposing factions of the top 10 demons, Dogma or something, and you get this promise of like, hey, Savani's brother is leading one side while Bo's best friend is leading the other. So yeah, I'd probably say in terms of endings, I guess you could argue Red Sprite is slightly a little bit more satisfying compared to Stevenage, I guess. But yeah, I suppose Red Sprite had a bit of an ending compared to like Demon's Plan, which is more of like to be continued kind of ending.
Well, technically, both of them have that to be continued feel, even though I think Red Sprite had an epilogue, a very small one.
It was.
Yeah.
But
no, you could argue it kind of like got some sort of like thing you could count as an ending with like
It was super
that small
rushed.
engine.
One thing I can say, like the ending for Red Sprite was like super rushed. Just to get
all I know is that Red Sprite ending was more my answer, because Demon's Plan's ending is kind of hilarious in the wrong sense of a way. Because like, think of when you I know it's canceled. I know it got canceled. It has no choice but to rush it. But it's still not as amazing as Golem Heart. So it's not gonna top that for a long time. Golem Heart was amazing. Anyway, with Demon's Plan, it had this premise where he got this armor. First, he has the arm, and they were going with the idea that he's going to build up to make him to get the power of the entire armor. That's the power up. It's like Chad from Bleach, I guess. That was the idea of his power system. But since it got canceled, he straight away got the fully body armor one, which is hilarious in a funny way, in a sad way, actually, because, hey, this should have been like a long-term plan. No, we can't do that because we got canceled. So that's why I got the fully developed powered and out of nowhere. And what makes it more hilarious in a sad way again is that the series had the nerve to actually drop so many subplots and so many like destinations to go to next, but we're not gonna go there because it's canceled. It's like, hey, by the way, your best friend is there, her brother is there, they're about to duke it out each other for the membership thing. I forgot, something like that. Yeah, that's all happening. It's crazy. Well, what are you gonna do? Well, we're gonna go there. And when our story continues, never. So that's how it ended. That's really how it ended. It just give you all the interesting subplots. Whereas Red Sprite, they took out that general guy, and he was like one of the bigger villains. I don't think he was supposed to be the main villain. Maybe he was. I don't know. Was the premise, the full premise, that is. Maybe he was meant to be just a bad guy, not the final villain, but he was a villain for sure. At least they took care of that, like a full circle in a sense. So when that's being that the case, at least it feels more closure. Whereas Demon's Plan, try and act like there's gonna be a to be continue when there is no to be continue. I mean, yes, there are other series that kind of did the same, even Double Arts itself. No, it didn't try to. Yeah, I know.
It's still
It
sort
didn't. It
of.
didn't try. It didn't try to shove too much of the idea that there's so much surplus to go through. It's more like you took one battle down. Now we go to the journey to finish this dreadful curse. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. But with this one, there was like dropping all the subplots. That's very interesting. But oh
Mhm.
well. Yeah. So Red Sprite has definitely had a better ending because it has a more closure feeling. Yes, they do have friends to still rescue, but the idea of the flow and the satisfaction was more presented uh in than Demon's plan. That's how I see it, at least.
I mean, say it's that big of a surprise. I'm going to side with Red Sprite for pretty much echoing off the same opinion as you guys did. Because, well, yeah, they dropped a lot of interesting things in Demons. Like, yeah, you got the entire thing of the brother and the best friend are going to be facing up, and you got, like, this entire thing with the demon that's like, oh my god, what's going to happen? And it's like, it was all at the very end, you're like, yeah, like, that's a definition of, like, we are getting canceled, but we are gonna just reveal what all that was going to be if we didn't get canceled. So yeah, you're gonna let them to be continued by like never coming back. For you Spider-Man fans out there, Spectacular Spider-Man Season 2. Enough said.
He's still not over it.
No, we don't talk about that. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I'm also mainly siding with Red Sprite because, even though it was like quickly rushed, like overall, I'm gonna pick Red Sprite because at least you get the sense that it's a closure ending,
Mm-hmm.
instead of everything just like wrapping up quick. But that's fine. So I guess if we're looking at it from that aspect, it's like yeah. So ending wise, Red Sprite. Now we get to another question we usually ask. First one: which is the better writer of the two?
Huh. I don't know.
I'd I'd probably give it a draw at the moment because there's some aspects I like about Red Sprite and there's some aspects I like about Demon's Plan. But
Here's
yeah.
what I'll say. Because I read Iron Knight, even though that got canceled too, I
Mhm.
know that Yagi, the mangaka for both of those, I feel like I know a little bit more about like what he's able to do. Again, even though both series got canceled, I'm like, all right, I get a better sense of like where he was going to take things for his series, and like I guess more so with character moments. That's the one thing I can say. I feel like he's pretty good at tackling like character moments and like potentially like direction and story. Had they got their proper run and not get axed because Shonen Jump with their axe treatment, like okay, roll a die. Oh, Red Sprite get canceled. Oh, Iron Knight get canceled. Oh, Double Arts getting canceled. Oh, Zombie Powder. Like, yeah, okay. I mean, like, I'm not saying that the Demon Slayer manga is bad, but in terms of what he's done, I only know him just slowly off of Demon's Plan, so I don't know what else he's done outside of that. But he's not bad. Let me tell you, it's not bad. I feel like Demon's Plan's just playing it a little too safe. At least to
like
me.
a generic sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like it is kind of hard. I mean, I would like to say a draw just because they got canceled, so it's kind of hard to judge completely. I mean, like I guess the fault. It's hard to say exactly why they got canceled. I mean, well, low ratings, bad sales, whatever. But I mean,
Mhm.
like, why the fans, why the readers didn't wanted to support this series, or why they didn't wanted to, they don't want this, they don't want to read this series. Like, what's the reason for them? We can't really say exactly the main cause. We can only speculate. I mean, like again with Black Clover, it should have. If we go by the it's too generic. Why Black Clover managed to live? If we go by that logic, so what is missing? I mean, yeah, Black Clover does have some little twists that we mentioned many times every time when Black Clover gets brought up. But the whole like, hey, look, the best friend is not a villain, not an asshole. He's actually a really cool guy. But
Uh-huh.
that's just a one of many. My point is, there got to be a reason why these series got canceled. I mean, there's definitely a reason, but can we ever find out what's the main reason? Probably never. Probably never, unless you survey the entire Japan around that time. Like, hey, you remember your demon plan? Why you didn't want to support the series? Yeah, you know, we can't do that.
Or better yet,
Yeah.
both.
Oh god.
Let's not go there.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is, we don't know why they got canceled exactly. Well, I mean, you know what I mean. I'm just see now I feel like I'm just going circle. Anyway, with all that said, it's hard to judge though on the writing. If I were to say based on the premise, maybe it's actually still cheating because like I said, Red Sprite feels like a more my interest, my critique. While Demon's Plan, it could be cool, but it's gonna be more challenging
It
to
wouldn't really
please
offer
me.
anything new in that sense.
Right. It's gonna be more challenging to please me with that type of premise. It's just like, hey, it's like another Naruto, only is more focused on that scenario, more focused on that so-called tough
Instead of
guy.
instead of being what instead for Naruto when it should have been a side plot ended up overtaking the main plot. Let's see,
Right.
but yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So that's how. So this, again, harder to judge. Hard to judge. If I have to pick one, this is a biased one. I'll just say Red Sprite. It's a
Okay.
biased one though.
All right.
That's the best I can say.
Next, we got who was the better artist.
Oh, I think I like Demon's Plan's art a bit better. I don't know. I guess it's just more detailed compared to like Red Sprite, which is a bit more. I don't know. I definitely find the villains are better drawn, at least, particularly like the final bad guys. Granted, it's your
For
bad guys for like.
It's a bit more realistic in Demon
Yeah,
Slayer.
it's more realistic,
That's
I
the one
guess.
way to say. But I feel like, and I guess it's really subjective when it comes to the art department. But Red Sprite, I feel like, is a lot more vibrant. At least that's the impression I get at when it comes to
a lot
feeling
more
like
what?
Red Sprite. Like it's kind of vibrant.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think it's the Red Sprite's art. It's easy to look at all the stuff. Though, granted, I guess if you like more detailed art, I guess you'd go for Demon's Plan. I don't know. I just remember those final chapters with that last fight were quite really well drawn, and I think it was a lot more, for me, a lot more engaging compared to like Red Sprite's final battle, at least. But
I
hey,
do. I do find it hilarious that looking when if we go by your opinion, I mean like you could say it is always debatable, of course, but if we go by your opinion, it would be the opposite in terms of their volume covers.
Mm-hmm.
Because Versprite volume covers is pretty damn good.
It is.
Demon's Plan is very webtoony or manga or something like
It's good impression.
try to search for it. Like try to search for the Demon's Plan volume 1 or 2. Both of them. Well, volume 1 more volume 1. Volume 2 is not bad. It's his best friend in a evil, sinister look. But the first volume, he always looks so weird. Like something about him looks screams webtoon. Like, well, all due respect to webtoon, I'm not saying all webtoon looks like that. I'm pretty sure there are webtoon that actually has some really good quality in terms of coloring, effects, whatnot. But when you look at Demon's Plan front cover, it just looks so. Yeah, that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's just funny every time I look at it. And the weird part is, it's my first time seeing it. It's actually my first time looking at
I
the
think I'm
cover.
doing it too because I was like, wait, what?
Like I remember Red Sprite. I do remember Red Sprite, but like, man, for a series that's getting canceled, it sure has a really damn cool art front cover. But it's for Demon's Plan. Now I'm seeing it the first time. It looks so there. Like I don't know. I guess whatever that timeline, whatever that volume was released, maybe it could be like the top 5 worst front covers for Shonen Jump at least. Maybe I don't know. With all due respect, again, the content itself in in these chapters, they're pretty good. Just the front cover, not at least in my opinion. Um, but I guess Demon's Plan might be a little bit more cleaner, though. Sometimes it could be a little too sketchy in some. It's like it feels like maybe because the mangaka got tired at certain points. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I haven't read it in a while, but I do remember there's like some weird. Like
Hmm.
sometimes I feel like the body portion changes at times, but maybe that's just me again. I'm skimming through it and I was like, I know it was more apparent with another series. I forgot that series name. It's another canceled series. It's some guy that looks like Sakamoto. No, not Sakamoto. That cool guy, that cool student guy. Damn, I forgot the series name now.
Oh, damn! I know what you're talking about too. What was
Yeah,
that?
he came from the future, the Terminator style. So that's how the goes. I don't remember his name. I don't remember this. This is a long name too. Ooh, 3 lines title name. And
At
trust me,
least.
it's a yeah. It's damn. I thought it was an isekai series where they go bonkers on their titling. But yeah, going back to the whole Red Sprite and Demon's Plan. I guess Demon's Plan is more easy to look at, while Red Sprite has the more of like a different style. Kind of, I wouldn't say niche, but you could say it's like it just has its own style. Not style for everyone, but it's style for some people that would actually take a liking to. I mean, I like it. I like the style. I say Demon's Plan just because it could be easy to the eyes, especially in modern time, at least.
Oh yeah, that's true. And now it's time for the secret question, which I had to really think about this one, and this one's actually just going to be just a fun question in general. So the question is, if they had both continued their run properly, actually, no, scratch that. Which anime series do you think would be fitting for both these series? Had it run their full course?
Which anime studio are you
Mhm.
saying?
Yes.
Oh,
I'll tell you mine.
It's
I think Bones could. I think Bones could have done Demon's Plan. If not Bones, maybe with Studio.
I don't know. What about the
Bones will
Attack
actually
on
make
Titan?
Bones
What
will
about
make Demon's Plan good.
let's see. What about the Attack on Titan studio? You
That's
think
what I
that
said. Yeah, with Studio.
Which studio?
Yeah,
Which studio seems like Red Sprite thing?
yeah.
Because it's like it has that
I don't know. I
steampunkish. I
guess
guess
what's the studio that does Fairy Tail? I felt that would be more suited for Red
A1.
Sprite.
A1.
A1. Well,
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just.
I would say jokingly affordable. I don't know how you
I was
pronounce it,
gonna
guys.
say
I
that.
still don't know. I would joke around say that, but I was like, well, it's not medieval or any timeline of back in the samurai ages, so I don't think they would take it. Then again, they did God Eater, so who knows?
Yeah.
Who really knows? Demon's Plan sounds like something like either Madhouse or Bones. Even though that sounds funny, it's like, hey, Bones is gonna make the series great. But Bones could do it though. Red Sprite sounds like a Wit Studio thing
It does.
because the steampunkish, and they did Carbonera of the Iron Fortress, so just think of that. That's how I see it. Like I
One
imagine the
studio.
first.
There's one
Hmm?
studio guys do not want touching those two mangas. Would probably be Studio Periart or Toei Animation.
Gonzo.
Here's the weird thing about Studio Period. It depends on the division. Now,
Yeah,
if it's a division that did Bleach,
that'd
maybe
be
they could
good.
do something. Maybe.
I think it'll be fine. If like it's Black Clover is a funny situation because sometimes they changes. They get the division of the worst, and then they get the division of the best.
It's kind of got a middle ground.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate middle ground with Black Clover. But whatever. I mean, if they time it right, like, hey, we're gonna give this final battle of this arc with an amazing animation. We're like, all right, cool. I'll forgive you for now. But yeah. Studio Period, I still don't want that to touch it though. Unless they have a priority fixed to be like either like Bleach or Yuna. Those two.
I was gonna
If
say
it's
that,
like Tokyo Ghoul, we're screwed. Yeah, if we had Tokyo Ghoul we're screwed.
Abandoned ship.
We're screwed.
What about that? Let's see that original season they did.
We don't
you know, well,
No, I'm trying to say like we don't talk about it.
I mean, I know they changed the art style. It wasn't as grim as the manga, but for what it is good. The art wise, at least their style, but still no. The pacing, at least they would just go crazy on it. Toy animation. I mean, it depends which one you're looking at. Are you looking at Dragon Ball Super in the early days? Because that was horrific. My God.
Episode 5. Episode 5.
It's rather amazing because you look at One Piece today, it's like, man, they got different people altogether. That's like the change studio. No, it's still Toei. Yeah, I know they put more work with Wano Country of One Piece. I mean, they really put more budget. But yeah, it's still Toei. It's still Toei, so don't get too sidetracked. Either way, I mean, Demon's Plan sounds like a more of a madhouse or Bones.
Bones, yeah.
And Red Sprite sounds like a wit studio.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's about it. That's the two choices. That's the choices I would think what the anime would take the studio wise. Be sad if they end up getting like Gonzo. Gonzo.
I want to laugh like if Red Sprite did continue to it's like Ufotable gets Red Sprite, they're like, okay.
Huh. I was like, man, it's a huge budget for something like this. Like, we have Lisa singing. It's gonna be a platinum. It's gonna get amazing sales. No, I don't know. Who knows?
Demon Slayer, my friends. Demon Slayer. Let's keep that in mind. I guess just overall, if we had to pick in terms of recommendation,
I mean,
if I'm looking more from a story standpoint, I'm gonna say Red Sprite. I would say that.
Yeah. I guess for more of the story, it'd probably be, and the premise would be Red Sprite. If it was more for the characters, I'd probably go with Demon's Plan. All right.
I'll say Red. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you're done.
No, I'm done.
Oh, sorry. I'll say Red Sprite because it's much quicker to rebuy. It's canceled. There's no more new chapters ever again, unfortunately. But that's just the way it is. That's Weekly Shonen Jump for you. That's why people always tend to hate them. Whenever the series gets canceled, it's like, oh, you didn't get chances to get canceled and you didn't give enough chances. Which is funny because currently there are series that should have been canceled a while back, but they're given a lot of chances because I think they can't find a mangaka to do the next work right now. Well, I mean, we'll see. Well, yeah, Boruto went to a different magazine as well. So I was like, whoa, crap. We have no other series. We should never tell the other guys, hey, finish your series. I mean, granted, maybe it saved their reputation, but still, with the new series that we have, not to say they're bad, but they're definitely not doing any
definitely
favor.
Questionable at best.
Yeah, not doing favor in rankings, not doing favor in sales, especially sales. I think that's where their eyes is at. The money is definitely not in their favor. So it's kind of funny in hindsight. But yeah. Anyway, the point is, go for Red Sprite if you really want to have a quick read, and maybe it's really quick. It goes by really quick. Not just because it's short, not because there's only like 12 to 13 chapters, but it actually is a quick read. So go for what it is.
It's kind of what I'd say too. Like overall, I would just pick Red Sprite just based on what's been said throughout this entire podcast. And yeah, so given that we've reached the end of the Manga Wars, usually what we do, for all you new listeners out there, we usually, or at least I, announce what the next Manga Wars is going to be, which is going to be interesting because we kind of tackled this a while back, but I figured, you know what? Let me bring it back up again. So, what we're going to be tackling next time, yes, Arthur, thank you for jumping the part for me. It is gonna be the one-shot Naruto by Masashi Kishimoto versus Hiro Mashima's Fairy Tail.
Interesting choices.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to do a
You know,
Naruto versus Fairy Tail premise, don't you?
There's actually a good reason why I'm doing that.
Yeah. Well, you know what would have been a shame if we actually start talking about Samurai 8 very early than schedule. But we'll see what happens in the future, guys.
Who knows?
Who knows? Because it's not like they're no doing not so good in terms of sales or ranking. That would be crazy.
Other than that, you guys, that is pretty much it. We'll get you 7.
Sparda3g.
BlueStarSaber.
And we will catch you guys next time for the clash of one-shots between Naruto and Fairy Tail.